look at me, look at me. I'm so pretty, so pretty, so pretty, so pretty. He's pretty, he's beautiful, he's wonderful and awesome. All the men want to be him. All the women want to be with him. He's great. He's awesome. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Hardly Working, the show about life, love, and labor, hosted by the couple that works, plays, and stays together. I'm SP.
And I'm Kelly, and I have a pupper on my lap.
Who do you have here today, Kel?
Milo.
The podcast pup.
Podcast pup.
The official mascot of Hardly Working.
At least today. He's just laying on me.
He just wanted to come hang out.
He did. He just wants the blanket that's on my lap, honestly.
It's good, though, because I can tell, one, he kind of blends into it. He's got that brown. And also, you need a little extra love, attention, and affection this week.
I do.
Chances
and I have a pupper everywhere I go now. I love it.
I know.
And the cats when I go to my parents' house. So I got something.
You are chock-a-block of emotional support animals.
Yeah. But if you hear some barking,
if you haven't,
now you know.
Oh, yeah, exactly. We'll see. He might have to leave the studio, but so far, so good. Here's the deal. You probably already watched the episode from last week where we tore into what's been happening in our life.
Yep.
A la the car accident,
the leak, the flood.
The flood
as
in
we're
our
calling
unit.
it.
So we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that in terms of catching up with our week. But there was a lot of other stuff other than just the craziness and the drama that has happened that is worth mentioning. I know it seems like the only two things that have happened.
What else happened?
Well, I've been on the road for quite some time.
Yeah, you have. That is true. You've been on the road.
Yes. In fact, I probably should have opened this earlier, but here we are doing it now. So, I hit the road. I've been on the road for like 9 days. Flew out to San Antonio through some of the worst thunderstorms I've ever experienced. It was pretty great. Loved that for me. And then worked out there with the company, a credit union out there. And it was interesting because their keynote speaker, first time I've ever worked with a former president. It was George W. Bush.
Ooh.
Now, this is not a show about politics, and I'm not here to talk about politics or policies. I will say this, though. George W. Bush was the president when I was growing up. Like, when I think about my middle school or high school years, it was President Bush.
Oh, yeah.
So it was interesting. I always think, of course, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, the war in Iran, all that kind of stuff. Here's what I have to say after listening to the man talk for an hour. He's 77. Mm-hmm. He is quick. He's sharp. He's funny. He knows his jokes. He knows his lines. He can win over a room. Again, remember, I was talking to someone at the gig we were doing. I was like, yeah, I just worked with him. And he goes, I hate that guy. He's a blah, blah, blah. I was like, not what I was talking about. I was talking about something that he mentioned. So putting all of your thoughts about a person aside, it was refreshing to go like, oh man, a politician could be charming.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like two parties hating each other and screaming at each other.
We can reach across the aisle.
There can be some civility.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish that was the world we lived in. But the other thing that he said that was worth mentioning, that one of the questions, it was like, it wasn't a keynote as much as it was a Q&A with, a host and then a person.
Yeah.
But he said, are we living in the most tumultuous time in U.S. history? He goes, not long ago we had a civil war where the country was literally fighting against itself. I think that may have been worse than what we're going through. By the way, in the 60s with Vietnam, where we had a mandatory draft where people didn't know what was going on, they didn't have the internet, television wasn't, even giving us the up-to-date news necessarily like it is today. People were getting forced to go out and fight a war they didn't know anything about. And then you had the hippie community or the creatives that didn't want to do we've gone through worse times.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. This is a crazy time, but
but it's a good reminder that there's been worse things and we'll get through this. This too shall pass.
Exactly. And I know I'm treading the line of talking about culture and politics, but it's all just to say hey, things can get better. And I think I need to say it because I need to know it for my personal life and your personal life.
Yeah, things get better.
Things can get better.
Yep.
It's not that bad.
And it will. And
Famous
it is.
last word. Play this clip at our funeral when we're like, it's going to get better. They were wrong.
There were no survivors.
There were no survivors. Anyway, so that was kind of the highlight of being in San Antonio. I was there for 5 days, gigging and working. Truly, it's all a bit of a blur because of all the other stuff we talked about on the podcast last week. But I don't think there was a headliner there. No, there wasn't. But then from San Antonio, I flew straight to Nashville to do a gig, my very first time performing at the Grand Ole Opry.
Lucky ducky, you don't even like country music.
That's true. I don't. I didn't mention that when I was there.
Of course not.
Have you been there before?
I've been to the other one, the one that's on
Ryman?
Broadway. Yeah.
Yeah, so my understanding, and don't quote me on this because y'all have the internet at your fingertips and you can tell me if it's right or wrong. I believe the Ryman is the original. In this Grand Ole Opry, they took a center cut out of the stage from the Ryman and brought it over and put it right in this new stage in the Grand Ole Opry.
That makes sense.
To kind of say, like, this is still the stage that the
All
greats
these greats
have played on,
performed on,
which
yeah.
is literally true. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was very cool the way they did it. It's a big circle, and then they have like a LED kind of strip around it.
That's cool.
And so it like lights it up. It's very fun. And from a production standpoint, we never had to tell a speaker where to be. They knew exactly
Yeah,
where they
of
should
course.
stand because it was a big lit up circle.
Of course. Yeah.
But that was good. Got to work with Jimmy John's out there.
It's fun.
We don't have a ton of Jimmy John's around us.
I've never eaten at one.
I have. Well, living life on the road, I've been to many Jimmy John's.
I'd like to try it one day.
And I
I
don't-
had Costa Vida.
Oh, I know. We've worked with Costa Vida much longer and still haven't had any Costa Vida.
One of
But
these days we will.
Jimmy John's, fun company, fun attitude, fun culture, really cool stuff coming up. Really enjoyed my time with them. So we did that. And then did they have a headliner? No, it was actually the gig before that had a headliner. I just have to mention it. In San Antonio, I worked with a guy who I'd never heard of. His name is Chris Jansen,
Oh, yeah.
country music artist.
They said he was great.
This dude was awesome. Like Kelly said, I'm not a big country music enthusiast, but this dude was doing crowd work.
That's great.
He was bringing people up on stage. He's a country singer, but he hopped on the piano and started doing like
That's
a verse
cool.
chorus of like a bunch of different songs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Or,
You didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me much because it's been a kind of crazy season. But
Or Every Rose Has Its Thorn by, I can't remember who it's by right now. Poison, maybe. I don't remember.
boys.
Not that one. That's Belle Biv DeVoe. But then at some point he just jumps on the drum kit and starts playing, and then the whole band breaks into Enter Sandman and a Metallica tune. And like this dude was a pro.
That's crazy.
It was so much fun to watch somebody, especially when you do corporate events predominantly. A lot of these big acts, the ones that you've heard of, they come in, they don't know the name of the company, they don't know why they're there. They're just in there because they get a big old paycheck. This dude knew a lot about it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, that's what separates the boys from the men, as my dad would say, like
Yeah.
the amateurs versus the pros, is being able to do the crowd work to be like, hey, so-and-so, I heard you guys had the best Q4 in your last 10 years. Congratulations. Let's celebrate with this song right here. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's the professionalism that makes or breaks it for
Oh, yeah.
me. So he made a new fan that night. I was like, this dude is good. This
Dang,
dude
that's
is
awesome.
Good.
I love that.
Now, I was sharing the stage with him. I opened for him. I closed for him. Got to do a big party. I was fully make-upped up because my entire eye was black from the accident.
Yeah.
But it was fun because he went out there, he did his thing, and I was like, this dude's the real deal. And I was like, but then again, so am I. And then rocked the party for the rest of the time. Had a great time. It was very fun. Anyway,
That's great, babe.
thank you.
Happy you found a new fan or became a new fan of something country.
I mean, I found some new fans, that's for sure. But I became a fan, not of his music, but of the man himself. He's pretty cool. So shout out to Chris Jansen. The other things at Jimmy John's, look, I got to tell you a quick story. So it's been a week. Even out on the road, it was a crazy week. I hop on this flight. I go straight from the airport with my 50-pound suitcase to the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Do sound check there for the next day. I've got a 6:30 a.m. call time. They're like, "Hey, the hotel is just a quick walk from the
Quick
thing.
walk.
It's like a half mile through parking lots and gravel, and I'm dragging this thing. I'm sweating. It's 80 degrees and humid. Hey, podcast pup, get off the microphone.
Okay, keep going. I'm good. Got it.
I'm like so sweaty when I find my hotel. I open the door. I get inside. I start walking through, and I'm like, this place looks familiar. It's the Gaylord Opryland Hotel, and I'm like, I hate this place. It's beautiful.
They're just so big.
They're
They're all
so
so big, and
huge.
it's hard to find any. They're all the same. They're not all the same, but they're all the same in the sense that they're all
It's like
so
a
big.
giant atrium.
It's like
with
an amusement park of
levels
of a
and
hotel.
layers,
Yeah.
and you can do nothing but get lost there.
Yeah.
So I'm already sweating like with all of my luggage that I dragged a half a mile across, only to find myself at the back of the hotel.
Of course.
To drag myself all the way like another mile to the front of the hotel, get checked in. I'm
a
still
quick
there
walk.
with a black eye, looking like I'm living on the street. And then they're like, "Here's your room." I pull up the app to find my way there because
And?
it's that big. It literally
help?
has like Google Maps inside.
Yeah.
It's at the other side of the hotel where I entered.
Hey, easy for when you have to go back to the Grand Ole Opry.
You would think so.
But no.
I don't even remember how I got there anymore. It is all such a blur.
He was on the phone with me every time he had a chance to, which was like 10
Venting.
minutes every day.
It was crazy. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning, it's tough sometimes when you're in the South because when there's like convenient food places, like Kelly said, this place is huge. There's like a dozen restaurants in this place.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been eating on the road and door dashing stuff. It's all burgers and sandwiches and all that
It
stuff.
gets tiring.
It
You want like a
gets tiring,
salad.
and you start feeling like lethargic.
Yeah.
But everything in the hotel there and everything in the South, not everything, but it's like deep fried and beer battered and
It's what people go to the
cheese
South for.
infused. And like, that's great. But when you've had that for 9 days,
yeah.
you're like, give me a salad or I'm going to die.
I
So it was a
need
little
to
bit
poop.
tricky there.
Just kidding.
Yeah, seriously.
It's my problem when I go to the South.
Yeah. Well,
Everyone
that's good
knows
to know.
now.
Yep, that's awesome. Anytime we're on the road.
Well, it's when you're
different
eating
tummy
that much
problems.
fried food and that much like hearty home cooked meals.
It's true.
Like, it's a lot.
But shout out to Jimmy John's. I had a great time with them. It was a lot of fun. We got to give away a truck. That was fun.
You didn't tell me. I'm learning stuff now.
Well, look, we had a lot of problems at home. It didn't seem like
important.
enthralling you with my...
You're like, how fun is this? It's not fun because you're dealing with a house that's falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. I had a great day. What did you do? I ripped out the carpeting in our house. That
I did
sounds
the spring
fun.
cleaning that I needed but didn't want to do is how I keep describing it.
Yep. You know, it gets done one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
Often not the way you want it to happen.
Right.
But anyway, those were kind of that was my time on the road. But we've had, like I said, we're not going to cover the crash or the flood. We already talked about it
but
ad nauseum.
I can say this. I had an event, which I kind of hit on at the Natural History Museum.
Yeah, you've had two
which,
events since we got
I know,
together.
which was like so cool.
Yeah.
Truly, I like that. I love the Natural History Museum. I think it's so cool. Got dinosaur skeletons and fossils and things like that in there. You got animal. It's so fun. And we were in the African animals exhibit,
Ooh,
which is so cool. Well, we were in front of the hippopotami.
I think it's hippopotamus. Yeah.
There was multiple. So we were in front of them. And then at the end,
A whole gaggle of them?
Well, yeah, all of them have like glass in front of them, except for the elephants, which is at the very end, which is where the DJ was in front of. But it was such a cool, that's like my favorite room to be in. And so I was like so excited about it. And when you like pop around the corner, you see like Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
And something else, another dinosaur, but they're all just right there. It's so cool. It was such a fun thing. It was a prom. So they can be difficult. It was like nonstop all night long, everyone coming in to take pictures. But the setting of it was so cool that I was like, it's so cool.
Do you think the animals are like real taxidermied animals? No. They're fake?
I believe so. They could be real taxidermy, but I doubt it.
You know, growing up, I would hear my parents' generation say, everyone remembers. Do you know where you were when Kennedy was assassinated? And then in our generation, it's like, do you know what happened? Do you remember where you were 9/11? Do you remember where you were when you learned that dinosaur skeletons are like one bone and the rest is
I just
fake?
want you to know, I was just about to say that.
What is up with that?
That was recent that we learned that
Yeah.
together. And I was like, it's not just one. It has to have at least one.
Yeah. Well,
in order for it to be called a dinosaur skeleton. But that could mean that maybe there's 3, but they've only ever found like 2 or 3 full
yeah, that's the thing is like
full dinosaur like skeletons.
When you think
which is
about it-
insane. I'm like, where'd they go?
Yeah, when you think about it, we were by proxy believing that there's dozens, if not hundreds, of full skeletal remains of dinosaurs, T-Rexes.
I mean, there are full skeleton remains of humans everywhere.
That's true, but even when you look at those, like on National Geographic or History, there's usually some bones missing.
I know, but
like,
I think about like ancient Egypt, where like when you look at those bones, like they're intact
that's true. The Egyptians, though, they knew how to embalm
for sure.
a body,
And I know that no one
baby.
knows how to embalm a dinosaur.
Yeah, and no one was probably doing that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like a T-Rex dies and the velociraptors are like, we need to save his
Stick it
body.
up its nose and well,
Yeah, it's crazy how many fully formed skeletons were there in a position going.
I know.
Like if we used a little critical thinking, we probably
Yeah.
could have figured
I mean,
it out.
But when you see them in person, you're like, wow.
It is pretty cool. But I remembered that and going like, what else isn't true? Santa? No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Sometimes living in the naivety of it is worth it. But I'm glad you had a fun gig
Anyway,
there.
that was fun.
That was the last fun gig before before life changed for you.
For my whole world changed, yeah.
But you also had another gig but
This weekend.
Before we get to that one, we did get to finally use a little gift we got from our friends Nick and Shim going to.
we went to the Huntington
I don't know if it's called Gardens or
Library.
Library. Yes.
and Gardens. I think it's both. But that was really fun. We got to go there, and I've been wanting to do a tea room
Yes.
for a really long time because I'm a big Bridgerton fan, and I was really excited. And so we planned a trip.
We planned a trip. We walked around the gardens.
It looks so cute.
My favorite area was the Japanese gardens.
Yeah.
I believe it was Japanese garden one way, Chinese garden another way. I'm not sure that I could tell you which was which, but I enjoyed
It was beautiful.
that area there. And then I think you liked what was the purple area where we
the
took
rose gardens.
Was it the rose gardens?
Yeah.
Because those weren't roses.
I know, but that was the entrance to the rose gardens.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
There
were lots of bees, but it was beautiful. But we had tea. And
as fun as that was.
Yeah, I will say our tea experience wasn't great. I would have much rather, you had to like buy the whole thing.
For like
kind of a
$70 a person.
Yeah, but I would have much rather, the tea was delicious.
Yes. And to clarify, that wasn't the gift of like, you can go and pay a bunch of money. The gift was getting in there, and that was wonderful.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Added this on,
added the tea,
which I
wouldn't
do again.
No, but I would like to find a tea room where you can pick your tea and pick what you want, because the tea and the scones, perfection.
Jeff's kiss.
If I could have just had, do you say Jeff's kiss or chef's kiss?
It's a long story. Anyone who listens to a different podcast would say Jeff's kiss. I won't say what it is.
God,
but
yes, I know it's
Jeff's kiss.
I went directly to my cousin and was like,
no, we won't be kissing Jeff.
What was I saying? Oh, but we got tea. The tea was amazing and delicious. It was so good. But the scones were great, but everything else was bad. I did have caviar for the first time, which I've never had before, which is kind of salty. Out,
we disliked it about as much as we thought we would dislike it.
Yes. And then I also tried salmon because like it wasn't a caviar in the salmon.
It was. It was like it was a piece of bread and then salmon on it and then a dollop of something with caviar on top. It was basically a sandwich made out of a list of ingredients that I would never want to eat.
Yeah. It was not good. They also had a turkey sandwich, which I didn't get, which only you had. They had a steakish sandwich with horseradish on top, which was just okay. And then they had a cucumber sandwich, which you absolutely hated, but I was like, that's not that bad. Oh, and they had a carrot and curry one.
There was definitely things that were good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
there was things that were good.
Tarts and stuff on top.
Which was weird. It was a little teeny fruit tart. And if you don't glaze a fruit tart, it kind of dries out.
What was the thing that I didn't like?
Was it
a kumquat?
A sweet? Oh, a kumquat.
That I took a bite and was like, ooh, initial tastes good. And then I was like, ooh,
it was tastes
like armpit.
It was a halved kumquat, which is quite a bit of kumquats. I gotta stop saying that word now. I can't anymore. But like, if you had like minced that or something, that might have been what was in the jam. You know, that kind of
marmalade.
Yeah, it's still really
orange.
Good. But yeah, recapping: scones great, desserts okay,
great, and the
sandwiches never again.
Yeah, the scones had like a lemon cream and a marmalade and a Devonshire cream, which was kind of bland because all the other stuff, well, it wouldn't have been had the other stuff not been so flavorful, but like that you could put on the scones, and it was a maple orange scone and a cranberry something scone, and they were freaking delicious. Like I said, I could have done scones and tea and been happy. And maybe some fruit.
My take, an unpopular opinion. I don't like the finer things in life.
But you like tea. You enjoyed the tea.
Tea isn't a finer thing in life.
I mean,
going out to $160 tea with little finger sandwiches and scones and stuff, that's some highfalutin stuff.
I know. I just need you to know.
It's not for me.
I need you to know that Bridgerton season 3 comes out in May, like May 16th or something, or May 18th, something like that.
Sure. I'll buy you some scones.
No, thank you. I need you to know that we're not at our house right now. We're in your mother's house.
What?
Wow. But I need you to know that I need a buddy to do my Bridgerton night with. I have the teapot. I have the cups, the teacups.
You've got Ashley May.
I know, but I guess I'm going to invite her over.
You think I'm going to start season 3 having never watched any of 2 seasons before that?
I need a buddy to join me. Ashley May's going to come. But
I thought that was already the plan.
I know. That was when it was at our house.
Either way, all I'm saying, and I know we have got some fancy friends, I'm just not a fancy boy. I'm a simpler person. I'm not I enjoy the simple things in life, fishing and hunting, and that's cool if you do. We'll have a story about that later. I'm not that like that. I enjoy the simple things in life, like Wi-Fi and air conditioning.
I know.
Like, I don't like being in country clubs. I don't like eating finger sandwiches with
How about if
cucumber and salmon.
I'll make yummy finger sandwiches. There'll be peanut butter and jelly and
I can do that.
Else. I don't know.
Do that. Look, I'm here for the flavor. We talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago.
Scones.
I'm not here for the authentic. I'm here for the tasty. I'm here for the fun. I'm here for the good time and not for the long time. Actually, I'm here for both of those. I'm just saying, I affirmed something in my life that stuff's not for me. Like the high teas stuff. So I'm going to
go to more high tea. I'm going to find the good stuff.
I would drink tea. Tea's great.
Yeah, I'm saying I want to find a tea room where you can order tea, but then you can also like choose your stuff. It's not like a prefix menu. No, because I would go and have morning tea with like scones.
Sure.
And if I could pick out my little sides, I would do that. I'm just saying, I think it could be good. I think our experience was not good. The first half was, if we could have ended there and been like, oh, it's tea for like $30 a person, I would have been like, sure.
That'd be great. Here's what I'm going to say. I agree, but I also know that I don't need to have that experience. Even the best version of that experience is not one that I need to have.
I'm just not interested. With your wife?
Dude, I do everything with you.
I know.
We have a great time. But we
tea.
just did that. We both felt like icky after.
Yeah.
All of that.
There's a lot of
cream cheese and
they also
bread.
gave us, which is sweet, an anniversary like cake thing, and it was just like pure chocolate.
It was dark. And
I put
deep.
that we were celebrating that because I just did.
Well, hey, that's a good tip too. I saw somebody say this online. They're like, every time you sign up for like a rewards program, sign up for a different month.
That's smart.
Because then you just get little freebies every month, just a random thing. Oh, a dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme. Oh, a free Starbucks drink. Ooh, something from Panera. Whatever it is, like. Pretty good idea because you can't get to all of them on your real birthday.
That's true.
Might as well start using
Celebrate
that
all year. My half birthday.
Your hash birthday. Last thing, I don't think we talked about the gig from 2 nights ago. Anything you want to mention with your wedding?
No, we did a wedding.
Other than the biggest part of the whole thing?
The biggest thing I'll say is this wedding, boy, do I feel for them. But they ended up being really happy having it where they wanted it to be. But a week before their wedding, we were all getting like our certificate of insurances. So we got an email about that. And then like 3 hours after that email on a Sunday, we got an email saying that the venue that they booked had been double booked for that day. And so they no longer had a venue. Mind you, this couple reached out to me last July.
Yeah. So it's like a year of planning. Yeah.
And so they've had this venue for a long time. And like they already knew where they were getting married when they reached out to me, which means they had asked like,
oh yeah,
July for me. So before that, and they told them, yeah, you're double booked. Sorry.
And
you want your money back?
Our money back?
Let me check my finances and I'll let you know.
Oh yeah, like tens of thousands of dollars later.
I was like, I'm sorry. What?
We're probably just keeping your money.
They scrambled to find a new place, which they ended up finding a place that was within the family, which was amazing, and it was truly beautiful and gorgeous.
In Pasadena, beautiful, huge estate.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, and it ended up being amazing, but I was like really feeling bad for them. I was like, that freaking sucks.
Yeah, my highlights are I got grabbed on the chest by an older gentleman. Then he spat on my face accidentally.
But still.
He came up to me very inebriated and said, "You're funny. We just can't figure out if you're weird funny or funny funny.
You're funny funny."
And I was like, I've never met this man in my life.
You're also weird funny.
He must thank you. That's true. He must think I'm someone else. No. I don't know if that's true.
I think that was the bride's father.
I didn't want to out anybody, but yeah, I did hear that.
So, yeah, I don't know.
But I was like, that was an interesting thing. Then we had another guy come up to me and he was like, dude, you look exactly like Mayor Hawthorne.
He was fun.
He was a lot of fun. And I looked it up. I've listened to Mayor Hawthorne's music. It's fun and funky and great. And I was like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I could see that. I had my glasses on and everything. Some cute photos we got to post. Yeah. But that was fun. Made some new friends, some new vendor friends and some friends there. Yeah. It was a good time. It was good times. And we got home and there was no additional flood this time. So that's
house.
Good. Yeah, wrong house. But yeah, it's been busy, kind of juggling all the life with all the work at the same time. It's
too much. I'm exhausted. But I did say, thank goodness I'm not working like a 9 to 5 anymore. I was like, could you imagine if I was working a 9 to 5 and our house was also flooding and I was trying to figure out
car insurance?
What do I do? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man. Well, that's been that's a little update on the last couple days. If you haven't heard all the details about the crash on the house and stuff, that's on the last one.
Go listen to the other podcast.
You can get all of that there. But we don't have time to dig back into that. And I'll tell you right now, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've been living it. Instead, what I want to do is tell you about some wild and wacky stories.
I'm ready.
You ready for it?
Yes.
The first one it's so perfect for what we talk about. Brazilian woman brings dead uncle to the bank. Yo, can we get a loan? This woman weekend at Bernie's these people.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious. Now, granted, it's on TMZ as a story, but take it or leave it. It does check out. It has video and photos that I'm not going to show you a video of a deceased person.
I think what surprises me more, because we've had another story like this where it was like,
really?
Yeah. It was like a family, like the. It's like if you and I were married and my dad died in the house and we just left him there.
Yeah. And
remember for like a year.
Collecting his like health or retirement or something
I'm
like that.
How are all these people?
Or disability?
Yeah. How are all these people dying? And like nobody knows except for the family. Because in my brain, I'm like, how do you die? And like, You just like, we'll keep the body around. It begins to smell. It begins to decompose. It begins to sink. Everything sinks.
Well, remember we were watching that cult documentary recently?
Oh, yeah.
Love Has Won or something?
Yeah, Mother Love or whatever her name was.
And yeah,
Mother God.
she passed away and they just kept the body.
Because they were like, she's going to come back into it.
Any minute now. She's coming back any minute.
It didn't happen. It
did not happen. Hey, don't keep bodies that aren't alive. That's the moral of this story that we're about to dig into. Here's the details. A Brazilian woman tried to pull a weekend at Bernie's with her dead uncle, wheeling his body... I'm so sorry.
In a wheelchair.
Wheeling his body into her local bank and trying to take out a loan in his name, and that's where she got busted.
Well, yeah, because they probably tried to wake him up or ask him questions or something.
Oh, all of it.
Oh, let me hear.
Oh, I'll tell you.
I'm ready.
But I have a question too. So here's what's going on. She appeared in the bank, and it looked like she had a corpse with her and attempted to secure some financing to get a personal loan. How high of a loan do you need to be taking out to be willing to wheel in a dead person, family or otherwise, and risk it? What's your bottom number?
It has to be high.
Right? Like a home loan.
Yeah.
Or something crazy.
More than 30,000.
So are you guessing what she did, or that's your bottom number?
I think that she probably did less. But like 50,000 is the first number that came to my mind if I'm getting a loan. But I also go, does the loan get excused once he dies?
I don't. Well,
or doesn't it just get passed on?
Well, here's the deal. If you're willing to literally bring in,
it'd have to be a lot of money because if I'm going to get caught, I'm probably going to go to jail. And so I'm like,
$50,000 not even getting you through the year.
No, it has to be worth it. So a couple $100,000 probably.
It's got to be at least over $100,000.
But I don't know that you can get loans for that high. But anyways,
I don't either, especially in the circumstances. This woman came in to get a loan of $3,400. $3,000.
She was like, let's start low and see what happens, and then we'll try again.
Exactly. If this works, we're going to keep this body around. We'll come into different banks every week. But that is when she got busted. It says the video is super eerie. Like I said, I'm not going to show you, but it's eerie because she tries to force him to sign paperwork with a limp hand. She's seen talking to her dead uncle at various points, asking, "Can you hear me? Are you listening?" And instructing him to sign documents, although clearly he's not talking back. And there's also footage of her, as they say, attempting to hold his head straight as it constantly tilts and falls back. As you can imagine, employees were alarmed.
Yeah, like what's happening? Because I mean, and how long do you have to be there, and how bad does it have to be for people to begin to notice?
Yeah, I mean,
because like someone,
I'm picking up on this as soon as this man gets wheeled in.
Oh yeah,
I'm
maybe I'm like, it's weird. Are you sleeping? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't know that he was dead, but something's wrong.
Yes.
And they thought something was wrong. So they called the police. They arrested this woman.
Of course.
And they say she is going to be, it's likely she'll be charged with theft through fraud, embezzlement, as well as abuse of a corpse.
Yeah.
That is quite a record of things just because of this. And the authorities that came in, they're like, this dude's been dead for at least 4 hours. Without a doubt, at least 4 hours.
I don't know if it makes it better or worse. I'm like, at least 4 hours, like, so like it's fresh meat. But
oh my God, people think, fresh meat.
Well, here's the deal. I think you were going like 4 hours, so like rigor mortis is set in and all this stuff. I go like, how long have you been planning this to be like when he dies? Like I'm getting him dressed and I'm wheeling him, I'm taking him.
Like, do you think it's planned or do you think it's like spur of the moment? Like, well, he still kind of looks alive. Maybe I get away with it. He's not going to say anything.
I don't know. I honestly, or maybe, I don't know. I'm like, did they have a plan? Was he like, I'm going to get you alone before I die? And then he died. She's going to follow through with this.
Look, we got phones. Record the video.
Yeah, that's true.
Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm giving her 3,400 of my dollar bucks.
But not of his dollar bucks, of a loan.
I guess it is a loan. Yeah, that's insane, though.
I'm like, did he have more than $3,400 in his account?
Well, that
you
seems
would have just
easier.
gotten that.
Oh, yeah, just take it out. So obviously it couldn't be. You could do that with a debit card. You wouldn't have to wheel a dead body in there.
Well, you'd have to know their PIN number and all that stuff, but yeah.
That's true. I understand
Anyway.
that. Well, we'll hopefully get some updates on that.
Don't do that, everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to take a stance on here. Don't wheel dead relatives in for loans.
Don't keep dead relatives in your house.
Yeah.
Call the cops. Take them away.
Yeah, it's a little risky to plant our flag there, but you know what? We stand for that. That's what we stand for.
If I had a flagpole, that's what I'd put on there.
In your front yard.
Don't keep your dead relatives around.
Like it's a very weird thing that she wants everyone to know.
I have an iPad outside of all the stories of that and be like, this is we don't do that.
You just sit on the porch, you're like, just listen to our podcast.
Listen to it, you'll get it.
You'll understand.
All right, give me another one.
So you know that I spent a year of my life trying not to die in Oklahoma, right?
I do know that.
Spent a year in college in Oklahoma, so every time an Oklahoma story pops up on
You're
my
like,
radar,
ooh,
we
Oklahoma.
got to do it. And that's what this one right here.
Okay.
Oklahoma fisherman who thought friend was trying to feed him to Bigfoot, convicted of murder. There are still some people that believe in things like Bigfoot.
But,
if you've got questions, I've got answers.
well, my first question is what? Sorry, did this happen in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was just an Oklahoma man.
Oh,
or
but
if
he was in
Oklahoma.
Florida.
Yeah, are the stories of Bigfoot
Like bigger there? I think
no. Like, is Bigfoot from Oregon?
No,
from Oklahoma?
I think it's Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking Oregon. That's why I said it. Oregon, Washington. I'm like, do you even have mountains in Oklahoma?
No, it's all flat.
For a Bigfoot,
Oklahoma, where the wind comes, something.
blowing through the plains. Or something
I was
like
not
that.
a musical guy.
Yeah, but I think that's my first thought. Is like, you thought Bigfoot in Oklahoma?
Now-
That would be like me being like, here, I'm gonna get eaten by an Arctic wolf. Like, we don't have those here in California. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
it's more
or
comparable
the Loch
to
Ness
you.
monster. Like,
Yeah, you're gonna get eaten by a dragon.
yeah. I'm like, that doesn't exist.
Because there's no dragons over here, and there's also no dragons.
No dragons in general. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Except for the Komodo dragon.
if you believe it, at least believe it in a place where maybe it is. Like, there's no
There's no
you know what I
cure
mean?
for stupidity.
There's gonna be no
and
Yeti
belief.
in
Yeah.
California. It's not a thing.
Well, in Anaheim.
Well, in Mount Everest, but yeah.
In Mount
Or
Everest?
the Matterhorn. Isn't that Mount Everest?
I have no
I
idea.
think that's what it's supposed to be.
Well, either way, that's where the Yeti lives.
I know,
Leave
but,
him out
you
of
know.
it. This is Bigfoot we're talking about, baby.
Okay, anyways, let's
So,
keep going. Tell me the story.
It'll become more clear what happened here as we go in. A man who claimed he killed his friend because he believed the victim was summoning Bigfoot was convicted of murder.
Oklahoma.
I don't know enough about the lore of Bigfoot, but to say that he believed that he was summoning Bigfoot as a ritual sacrifice, I don't know how you get. I don't know if it's like Beetlejuice where you're like Bigfoot. I don't know the rules of Bigfoot, but apparently there are some. And this man was worried that this was happening.
What did he do? Like, get out a really big pair of shoes and like some really thick gloves? Like,
Hey,
what?
What's that size 10 shoe over there? What's that size 23 shoe over there?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you always have to give some Nikes before Bigfoot will come out.
That's right.
So there was also some Googling I had to do here because there's some terms I wasn't familiar with. So this man, Larry, killed his friend Jimmy by strangling him to death in July of 2023 while they were out fishing. After waiving a right
It's an intense way to kill somebody too.
Yeah.
You literally, as if I know, you literally watch them die.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think you always do if you kill anyone.
Yeah, but then you have to like truly
watch it happen.
stay in the moment long enough because they lose
And
consciousness
Isn't
before
that-
they die.
Isn't that what life's about, though? Is
Shut
staying
it.
in the
Shut
moment,
it.
just being
But
here now.
they have to lose consciousness.
Yes.
And they're not dead right then. You still have to keep going if you're going to kill them.
Well,
I've watched a lot of Bones
yeah,
and a lot
so
of
if
Criminal
I just
Minds,
randomly
a lot of CSI, a lot of
with
things.
it was her. All right. The Oklahoman, which I guess is a newspaper, reported that Larry claimed during his testimony that
I'm sorry, I'm just
for those listening, I am not touching Kelly at all. I am not being in the moment with her.
just kidding. Okay, sorry. No.
Here's the deal. It says they were out noodling.
What's
I was
noodling?
like, sounds sexy.
It's not.
Sounds very Brokeback Mountain.
It's not.
No, I had to look it up. You know what noodling is?
Fishing.
Yeah. It's where you fish for catfish with your hand in the swamp.
Noodling. That's how you get the...
Have you seen that on like Discovery Channel?
Yeah, it's not a Yeti. That's how you get Bigfoot. You noodle.
You noodle, yeah. You make him some noodles. So they were out noodling when he reportedly saw 3 Sasquatch-looking figures by the river. It's going to get more clear.
Were they high?
Were they high? Well, apparently the paper reported that the forensic psychiatrist testified that Sanders was suffering from a methamphetamine-induced psychosis and believed he was defending himself. So
I'm on to something here.
yeah, well, there's a lot. And I don't mean to, here's the deal. Larry, you shouldn't have done that. Jimmy, I'm sorry to see it go. I'm not
Sorry
here.
that your last thing you did was noodle
Well, also, don't try to summon Bigfoot.
by noodling.
Yeah.
What were the other things he did to summon Bigfoot?
I don't know. The article says there was a pentagram made out of blood and candles.
No, you're lying.
No.
It's like
There was a Ouija board.
ritualistic killing by Larry, not by the other guy that died.
Well, Jimmy's dead.
Jimmy, so Larry.
But Jimmy allegedly was the one who was trying to kill Larry.
Yeah, maybe
Mo
he
and
was the one
Curly.
summoning something.
Well,
Not Bigfoot. He's like, this is the best story I have. I saw 3 Sasquatch looking figures.
And then I died.
Don't mind. No, this is Larry, the guy
And
that
then
didn't
I
die.
killed him.
Yeah. I saw him.
Can you imagine as like he tried to justify it at some point? Like, what would you have done if you saw 3 Sasquatch looking silhouettes while canoodling in the river?
Canoodling. I would have left.
Yeah, gotten out of there.
I would have been like, Jimmy, do you see that?
Here's one of the saddest parts. Is Jimmy's obituary.
Oh,
Because look, the story, while hysterical,
sad.
is
Someone
sad.
died.
Yeah, here's what I've learned too. It's like things are funny until they happen to you. And like I can enjoy some videos of people falling or getting like their car doing 100 flips into the ocean because they were, being an idiot. Until you get in a car accident, you're like, they're probably really hurt.
Yeah.
And so I understand these are real people. With that said, here's his obituary. Jimmy truly enjoyed anything and everything outdoors. He loved to fish, hunt game, ride four-wheelers, and most of all, drink beers around a big bonfire. Jimmy never met a stranger. I'm assuming it probably is like never met a person he wasn't friends with, but it says he never met a stranger. Maybe he never met anybody. Jimmy never met a stranger and would give anyone the shirt off his back.
And he would summon Sasquatch.
Well, this is what I'm saying. In the age of instant information, sure, some of it's wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of Googling to know that Bigfoot's not real and that using methamphetamines is a bad idea, especially if you're noodling in the river at night.
It's so sad, though.
It is sad. So pour one out for Jimmy.
I'm guessing Larry went to jail.
Yeah. You want to see a picture of Larry?
Yeah, I do. Crazy Larry.
Crazy Larry.
He's going to see lots of Sasquatch in jail.
That's Larry, baby.
Oh, they were old.
Yeah. I don't know if they put an age on here, but I mean, they were older.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a frat boy.
Yeah, I was thinking like 2 guys in their late 20s, early 30s.
No, this looks to be 60s, maybe.
Noodling.
Together in the river.
With meth and being like, wow, that's Sasquatch.
I just want to know what the conversation leading up to it was. Like, had he been...
Probably lots of fighting.
Well, yeah.
Probably lots of like, do you see those figures? And the guy probably went, yeah, that's totally Sasquatch. Like, I totally called them here to kill you or something like that.
Do you think it started off like that when he was like, hey, are you taking me out for a ritualistic Sasquatch sacrifice?
Yes, I
hey, because you know legally you have to tell me
Yeah.
if you are.
I don't know. This story is making me a little sad. I'm not going to lie. I feel bad.
I keep trying to transition out of it.
Then
and you're
transition
like,
out of it.
Let's talk about others.
Rest in peace, Jimmy.
Well, I've got one more story.
Terrible way to die.
There's worse ways. You could get ritualistically sacrificed.
What was that word?
Okay. Ritualistically
Yep.
accusations.
Oh my gosh. Get him, Danielle.
This one is better. This story is better because it just, it makes me so happy based on my childhood and based on this.
Okay, cool.
Axe body spray. Familiar with it?
Yeah, I've never had that in my head. It's never been a thing that my brothers have used. That,
Really?
to my knowledge, yeah. And I didn't ever date anyone that used Axe body spray, but I'm aware.
So
of
what?
it is.
But you, okay, it clearly was a big thing when we were growing up.
Yeah, I know all the commercials. I'm aware of it.
So what as a beautiful woman like yourself, if you knew that like someone's like, yeah, and I use Axe body spray, what is your thought?
I can't stand the smell.
It's a terrible smell.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's
And
kinda,
you're just using it to cover up your BO because
yeah. Well,
it's
that's
like
what deodorant is. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but deodorant is normal. Axe
Yes.
body spray, not so much. Get a
So-
cologne. Get a better body spray. I don't know.
So as a guy growing up in the
Did
2000s,
you use Axe body spray?
I'm sure I had it at one point, but it was not my thing. People they'd follow the commercial. It was like X across the chest, around the shoulders, star over here, whatever. It was all over the place
Gross.
because their commercials were like, it'll make you irresistible to women.
Yeah, it won't.
And like 15-year-old boys were like, I believe that.
It tasted bad. It smelled bad.
If I know 2 things, is that Sasquatch is real and that Axe body spray is going to give me a girlfriend.
I did not like Axe. Well, didn't they have a Sasquatch in the Axe body commercials? Am I
No, I
crazy?
think that's beef jerky.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Either way,
And the soap.
not a great connotation, honestly associated with kind of douchey dudes.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. Which makes this article so sweet for me.
Okay, tell me.
Axe Body Spray finds an unlikely new customer. Grouchy sheep.
Did you say grouchy sheep?
Grouchy sheep. This is my favorite story
All right,
of
help
the
me
week.
understand.
In England, a few years ago, retired police officer Sam Bryce posted a question to the UK Facebook group. I already love it. Ladies who lamb, which I think I rented once.
Okay.
A ram she owned became very ill-tempered and was picking on a castrated field mate. Was there anything the shepherdess could do to calm down this ram? Well, the replies came in immediately, and the answer was Lynx Africa. What? Well, Lynx Africa is what Axe Body Spray is called in the UK.
Oh.
Yes. So Lynx, that's the name in the UK. It's a product that for decades has been marketed as a way for young men to become instantly irresistible to women. In recent years, shepherds and shepherdesses have discovered that the deodorant has an auxiliary benefit. When used among their flocks or flosks, it masks the hormones that get the boys butting heads.
Oh.
It is literally the opposite of what the commercial says.
Yeah, for them.
Do you want to not have the hormones that go out that make you appealing? Spray it on there. It is literally the antithesis of the commercial. My favorite thing is this line here. There's no more argy-bargy, no rowing anymore. That must be the UK term for butting heads and roughhousing.
Hey, that's great.
But
and it probably, well, I was going to say it smells good, but I actually don't know that that's true.
I don't think that it smells good.
We should get, I mean, I don't want to, but I'm kind of like, we should get some Axe body spray. I just want to smell what it smells like again.
This can't be like the Eggo brunch in a jar thing again. We do that. I'm
going to spray
too much
the
consuming.
X around the neck, a star somewhere. That's what you said. On you, though,
it's
not
a whole
on me.
thing. Well, if it's on me, it's got to be on you because I will be irresistible. I just love
Or the
that.
opposite. Whatever.
Well, it could be. Here, okay, one good thing from this too. I mean, honestly, it is a good thing that this worked out.
Yeah.
The other good thing is it masks like the scent on like orphaned little rams and sheep. So other mothers will allow them to nurse because typically they would smell like that. You're not my baby, get away.
They don't know.
But you spray them with some little Axe body spray.
They're just like you, just
some
little
fierce, some what I don't know the names of them. You're like, yes, come little sheep hither to my bosom.
Aw, that's good.
I will nurse you to health. But I thought it was so freaking
That it was the
hysterical
opposite of what
that
it
it's
is,
like,
yeah.
you and women have been telling us this for years.
Yeah, because it doesn't smell good, everybody. It
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't. But boys are like, the commercial.
I like it. It smells
the dude
good.
in the commercial.
Said it. It's marketing 101, everybody.
Oh my gosh,
Every
so
puppy.
good. All right, we got time for a couple unpopular opinions if you want to jump
ready.
into them.
I am ready.
All right, so I've got
I'm
a couple.
also tired, so I'm sorry, everybody. It's been a long couple of weeks.
And you're still getting over sick, as am I. Apologies for any of the coughs and sniffles you've been hearing this whole time from
get
my
back to
microphone.
working out.
Yeah, girl, show them that muscle. Do you want a serious, like a more heady, not serious, like hard to talk about, but philosophical or more lighthearted? Where do you want to start?
Let's do philosophical and go lighthearted because it'll be easier.
All right, you tell me which one you want to pick because I've got more than we need. First one, people on their deathbeds should be allowed to try any type of drug they want.
Yes, new choice.
Or we overvalue quantity of life and undervalue quality of life.
That one.
You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, the first one, the answer is yes.
Well,
You're
let's talk
dying.
about that just briefly.
You're
Yes.
dying. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, we may have talked about this on the show before, but I think when you're at the end of your life, there's so little dignity in that. And you should be able to do the things that you need to do. I'm not talking about harming people, but if you want to ingest something to make something easier, go for it.
Do it, because-
if you want help to pass on, have a doctor
What's it
help
called?
you get there, I think that is
They do that
totally
in Canada.
okay and totally appropriate. They call it assisted suicide. But I think that
Assisted
is
unaliving.
far too harsh
There's
of a
a
term.
word that's starts with an E.
Euthanasia.
Thank you.
That's what we do to pets. But why
But
not?
that's what they call it. They do it in Canada.
Anyway, so then let's get to the other one. We put too much of a value on the quantity, the years of the life, rather than the quality, the life in the years, as I think Abraham Lincoln said.
That's funny. That's not how I thought about that.
Oh, you tell me how you thought about it.
I thought when you said quantity, I was like, oh yeah, like we put too much value on like making as much money as you can and having all of the things. How much of life can you experience? How much of life can you own? For lack
Well,
of
let's
a
talk
better,
about it from that perspective.
a better way. Because
Yeah.
that's what I think about. I think everyone is out there chasing well, I was going to call it the American dream, but that's not what the American dream is. It's a new American dream.
It's like the dream of being comfortable and having more than you need.
Yeah, everyone is chasing the dream of having like an over $1 million house with all of the things. You have butlers and people that do things for you, whatever. But I don't think people take into account like the quality of life. Like not right now. But when I think about it, I go, we live in like, is it weird to say how many square feet we live in?
No, it's LA, baby.
We live in 800 and we just looked it up, 60 square feet, something like that. But like our quality of life, I feel like is so much better than so many other people.
Really
our rent
high.
is pretty low.
Yep.
We can travel whenever we want. We can go out and eat at nice places. We're with our family all the time. Literally, I was telling you this morning or last night. I was like, it's such a weird thing. I'm so used to being in a space where like the kitchen, I can see you from the kitchen. So if I'm making lunch for Brooklyn or making dinner or whatever, I'm still, even if I'm not talking to you, I'm still experiencing what you and Brooklyn are doing, whether you're watching something on the couch or laughing together or playing a game or if we're all having a conversation. It was so weird to be at your mom's house and be like, oh, I'm in the kitchen all by myself.
Right.
Because it's not an open concept house, which is totally okay. But like, I can't see the living room from here. I can't even really hear you guys. Yeah. And so I'm so isolated in the kitchen that when I went into the living room, I was like, oh, like, you've basically eaten all your dinner already, Brooklyn, and like,
you know,
what'd you guys do? What'd you guys talk about? Like, I didn't get to experience that.
It's funny because what you're explaining is one of the reasons why we ended up in that house when I was a kid. My mom was between this house and one kind of down the street, but the other one, all the bedrooms were upstairs, and this one's a 1-story house. Yeah. And she had told me later on, she said, I didn't want to do that because I would never see you and your sister. You get home from school and then you go upstairs to your room. This way, like, you have to be in a common area. You have to walk through to get to different places. The kitchen, the living room, the dining room, all that stuff. Like, you have to be involved. And I wanted to see my kids. And
it's totally fair.
Totally. And that's what you're describing too. It's still tricky because you're describing the kitchen being far enough away that you can't see us in the living room.
Yeah, but it's just different than what I'm used to.
But it's still the same value. She wanted that, and that's what we like in our space. It is more open concept in our condo. So even if, like you said, you're cooking dinner and then me and Brooklyn bust out laughing, you're like, oh, what happened?
I probably heard it.
You're still in it.
Yeah. And I think it's, sorry, this is a side note, but I think it gives me perspective on like whenever we go to the next place, like things that would probably be important to me that I'd be like, yeah, I want like at least this or whatever. Can we make this happen in some way? But anyways, all that to say, that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, we have a really high, in my opinion, we have a really high quality of life. Yes, what we do is kind of the extreme of like where it's all the stress because you have to be perfect. You can't mess it up. But the trade-off is like we have so much time together. And even though we live in a smaller space, and sometimes I know we can be like, oh yeah, we have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath like place. Like, I would ask those of you that have bigger houses, like, how often do you get to see your kids, or do you know what your kids do all the time? And like, what do they come out every 5 minutes to tell you something or to show you what they're doing? Because I mean, maybe that's just good, but that's our life because we live we're live in such close proximity with each other that like you said, she can't go to the bathroom without me knowing. She can't walk to the living room without me knowing. She can't grab a snack without me knowing because no matter where I'm in the house, I can hear her or see her. And I love that. And sometimes I know it can be overwhelming, but I'm like, I feel like that gives us a higher quality of life because I know my kid.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, like I said, I said this in the last podcast, but I got to like lay in bed snuggling my kid for 30 minutes last night.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the same thing as seeing people, but like that comes because we do everything together. And so she's like, I'm feeling uncomfortable in like the space. Like I just miss my home. She's not uncomfortable at Grant's house, but I just miss my home in my bed.
Right.
Like, be with me because that's going to make me feel better because we're always together. And that's why at nighttime, she's like, I'm alone in my bedroom.
It's tricky. Yeah.
I'm like, we're all alone. But I'm like, I understand it more now because I'm like, you're right. Because we're always
together.
Close.
Yeah.
But that to me is like a higher quality of life. Or the fact that we can all go to Din Tai Fung and it's not a big deal. We can spend a couple $100s on dinner.
Well, that's the thing is like living below our means in terms of real estate has given us every other opportunity.
Yeah.
If we're paying, for context, in Los Angeles, if you want to get even a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, it's going to cost you, if you buy it right now, somewhere between $6,000 to $7,000 a month in mortgage. That's like $60,000+ a year just to live in the box that you're in.
Yeah.
Which isn't even significantly larger than the place that we're at. It's 1 more bedroom, 1 more bathroom.
Yeah.
Why use that $60,000 for that when if you live below your means a bit, like in a smaller place like we do, we can do anything. We could go on vacation anytime that we wanted to.
Yeah.
We could go out. We're never like, can we afford to go out to eat? But we would be living that life if we were paying $60,000, like an average person's salary just for living.
Just for living.
For nothing else,
crazy.
just for living.
So when you asked that question, that's what I thought of. I didn't think of like what you had said, although I understand that. I thought more like, people are looking for quantity. They're looking for more, having more of things.
Yeah. I like the way that you
quality.
answered it, because the way I'd read it was like the classic, like it's not the number of years in your life, it's the amount of life in your years.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And I think most of us agree with that, even though this person is not saying that.
For sure. But the way I said it, I like that way better too. And here's to say this too, like that doesn't mean that we don't experience nice things or have like fun experiences. And we just talked about going to a tea room and spending $60 per person on doing that. Like, and it wasn't great. Like there's that, but I don't feel like I need to have this 7-bedroom, 7-bath house that is like on 50 acres of land or whatever many that doesn't exist.
Well, it's
in
pretty
California.
wild. Everyone who we know who has that type of lifestyle, and we know a lot of people like that, it just comes with new problems. It comes with new pains, whether it's I never see my kids in my 7-bedroom house, or I can never afford to go do anything else because I'm paying for this house, or I have a huge house that was built in the 60s, and guess how much it cost to replace the plumbing that just broke?
Yeah.
Like, there's always new problems with new endeavors.
Yeah.
And so while we're not the poster child for stay where you are and you won't have house problems right now.
Yeah, because we have house problems. Yeah.
But it's like, I know the unit well. I know the problems that it has. I couldn't have imagined that this would happen. It was outside of our control. But like, you know what it is. And all that to say, like, I think I may have mentioned this on another episode. Jim Carrey talked about it. He was like, if you aren't willing to decrease the way that you live your life for a year in order to get to where you want to be, then you care too much about what people think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I really do.
And it's really hard to do that, to be like, I'm going to move out of my house to an apartment or a condo or a townhouse.
Of course.
Like because it feels like downgrading, because in a lot of ways it is. But it's like live life in a different way now so you can ultimately live the life that you want to live later.
Yeah, and I would say this too. Like I know, well, this is just getting vulnerable, but I know, at least for me, I think for you too, sometimes it can be a little embarrassing to be like, oh yeah, we live in like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. That's like where we live and what we do when we're doing large events.
in the world.
In the world. It's like, that's crazy. That's where you live and that's what you do. When people we know, like they obviously own houses and all that stuff. But like, I said this to you the other day. I was like, I would have never imagined that I would have traveled as much as I have.
We've seen more of the world than most people
I've seen more of the world than most people. And we can only do that because of where we live, because we put a value on different things. Yeah, we're not traveling all the time.
Well,
I mean, for work, but I mean, like we haven't gone on a vacation in 2 years.
Yeah, we were
truly,
busy.
Which is fine. I'd like one, but you know what I mean? Like we haven't done that. But like when we do travel, we put a value on like, yeah, we're going to go see all the things that we can and like enjoy it and like be disconnect and kind of be there. And I'm grateful. Yeah. Grateful. Like I never in a million years would have thought I'd seen as many countries as I've seen. Been to as many continents as I have. Like that's insane to be like, I've been to multiple continents. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. Or I've been to multiple countries. Like not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that because of where we live and what we do, we can. And to me, that's quality. I understand that could be quantity, but I'm like, but I've experienced culture and like seen the world in different ways and like got to try different and weird and interesting foods. And like, that's like a cool thing. And I'm going to get to share that with Brooklyn here in a couple of years when she turns 16, wherever she wants to go, baby.
You think you'll really do that?
I do.
You think you're going to end up in Paris?
I do. And London.
I don't know. This kid always goes like, I'm going to be this. I'm going to do that. And it changes daily.
Paris has been the consistent thing for her.
But
she
why?
wants to see the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Yes, to the Eiffel Tower, but there's not much else. I guess at 16, it's better, but
she just told me the other day, she was like, I want to go to Paris, but I want to see London. I want to go to London. I was like, we can, yeah.
We'll probably be flying through
probably,
it.
yeah. Well, I was like, well, my thought was always, because I've told her this for a long time, when she turns 16, she can go anywhere she wants within reason. She can basically anywhere she wants, right?
What would be like outside of reason to you?
If she told me that she wanted to go to the Asian continent, to Asia.
Sounds a little sketch what you're about to
No,
say.
no. I think I would be more hesitant because I don't really speak the language and
I know,
there's
the
nothing
culture's
real
so different,
comfortable
yeah.
there. It would be like a thing that I'd be like, okay, let's talk about it because
Let's plan this out. Maybe wait till
and
you're a
I've been to
full-fledged
Japan
adult.
for the
of course.
record.
We might
I've
be going
been
back.
there, but I was there with a lot of people that were helping. Like there's a little bit of uncertainty around it. Even I know they speak a different language in France. I understand that, but we've been there, and so there's a little bit more comfortability of like we kind of know how to get around. And you have London where you all can land and be like, we all speak the same language, like we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, or if she said she wanted to go to like Antarctica, I'd be like, probably not. Love you so much, but
You could have led with Antarctica.
yeah, that's not the place. Or truly, well, I don't know. It just depends. Here's the deal. It's consistently been Paris, and I do think that that's the place that she's going to want to go.
How sad are you going to be if she's like, I want to go to Wyoming?
I would say, truly, I'd probably tell her, we can go anywhere in the world, but you can't go anywhere in the United States.
Dang, you got new rules.
I would go wherever she wanted to go. She's not going to say Wyoming.
Have
you met our kid?
Once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, she's not going to say Wyoming.
She's going to be like, I want to go to Disney World.
Sure.
That would be cheaper. That'd be good for me.
You can go to Disney Paris.
Oh my gosh. Actually, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, more fun. So probably what I'd push for. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to experience it. I never traveled. We did lots of, we talked about this already. We did lots of
road trips
growing up, but I never thought I would see the world.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most, I understand that there's a lot of people who can't travel because of time,
totally
commitments, money, and that kind of stuff. But I do think it's one of the most important things in terms of having a bigger understanding of who we all are as humanity. In that, like, I think most countries feed their citizens the propaganda of like, we're so great, or these other people are the enemies, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And I think if you never get outside of your own country, you start to believe the Kool-Aid a little bit. Believe the Kool-Aid, sip the Kool-Aid, believe the hype, whatever you want to call it. And getting outside of the country, you're like, oh, this country does this way better than this country. This country does this way worse, whatever it is. It just gives you a really healthy perspective. Yeah. And I think at least with America, it's my only experience, obviously being an American, there's this idea that like, we're the best because we're America. But like, you didn't choose to be born here in America. Like you just won the genetic lottery to do it.
Yeah.
Like no one chooses where they were born. And to put one person over another person just because of where they happen to be born, or a country or society over another because they happen to live there. Like it's a really myopic mindset that's not very healthy. What are you holding on to?
I think it's really important that people can see that and experience that as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because you were saying you think you'll still do that. Mm-hmm. Even if she says all this stuff. I think for me, it's interesting. You have this importance and this value of like, and this is just an example. If you're like, I want to teach my kid how to play guitar so that way no boy can ever come and be like, look at me play this and it's so cool. Like she's going to be like, no, because look what I can play, whatever. I think I feel similar. This is like the one thing I feel similarly in. Mine is traveling. Like I want her to experience things, whether that's eating at nice restaurants or traveling and seeing the world, so that no guys can ever come to her and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take you. Like you've always wanted to go to Paris. Like I'm going to take you there. Like I'm the one, I want her to know that like she can experience things. She can do things on her own. She can, she's an independent woman who's powerful and strong. She needs to find the right man that'll fit her.
Yes.
Or weird. Like it's
I think
a weird
we
thing.
both have the same heart.
Yeah.
But mine is like
expensive.
Something that's going to happen. And how many of your boyfriends wooed you by taking you to Paris?
Nobody, but here's the deal.
Nobody. How many boys tried to impress you by playing guitar? Directly or indirectly?
A couple people probably.
I guarantee a lot more than tried to fly you to Europe.
But hear my heart though. My thing is more like the thing that's important to her. Like right now, she has Eiffel Towers in her room, and she's like, I love Paris. I want to go to. She did a whole thing on Paris.
Yeah, I guess that part's true.
Like she really loves it. And so maybe it changes and that's okay. But for me, it's important. I put value on like what she wants and what she wants to see. I want to be able to provide that for her so that nobody else can come in and be like, oh, you've always wanted to do that. That's your dream. I can make that happen. Whatever it is,
Sure. I get it.
Like I want her to know that she doesn't have to rely on someone else to do that. And I also don't want her to be manipulated or convinced to love someone or that someone is the right person because they can make that dream come true. Like, no, that's not how we base relationships. It's not how we do that.
But isn't that how we base relationships? Of this person can make XYZ dream come true.
No,
my
love you.
Need to be with somebody.
Yeah.
Companionship.
But you fit my weird, and we are best friends and soulmates and lovers and all of the things.
So they say.
You didn't make my dreams come true.
How dare
It wasn't
you?
like, I want to get, like, my dream is to be married, and you're like, I'll marry you. Like, I wanted
And
to
I'll
have
take
a
you to
healthy,
Paris.
Yeah, you did do that.
Couple times.
I wanted to have like a healthy, happy relationship, but I also had great parents that gave me a good view of what that is.
Yeah.
And gave me lots of experiences. And I was pretty independent and pretty hard-headed of like, I'm going to find a man that I love, that fits me.
Do you really think that's your perspective on you? You were hard-headed and picky in terms of finding a man that will fit you?
No, not to the end of me.
Okay.
I learned a lot, but I think I'm confident, and I think I am.
I don't mean to
outgoing and
rewrite your story or
outspoken.
anything. I'm just curious.
I don't mean to rewrite your story. I just don't think that's true. That's
Well,
what
you
you're
just
saying.
said it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that I knew what I wanted as I got older and was very specific about it. I think I also got screwed over by some guys.
Sure. We've all been
I think that's a part of the story.
Guys. Oh, yeah.
And as we learn, we obviously want to give our kids things
Yeah, that
we
had.
wish we had. Not because anyone didn't provide them for us, just because different things were provided.
Yeah, it's
which
because
is
you don't
gonna
have to
be our problem
reinvent
too,
the
but-
wheel every single time. You know?
Yeah. But for me, I hold a high value on like, I want her to experience, number one, I want her to experience culture and different things and the finer things in life. But I also want her to know that like, there's nothing that she can't provide, that a man can provide for her that she can't provide for herself.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully we're coming into more of a time and a culture that does understand that versus any other point in history.
She just has some interesting, she has two very, I shouldn't say that. She has two different sets of parents and we're very different. They're more outdoorsy. We're more indoorsy. That's a weird way to say that, but we're more creative. They're more logical. Like there's a lot of differences between us, but I think that makes it more difficult for when she wants to find somebody. And I think that the other family provides some things that maybe we don't provide in terms of like what she needs or like foundations for what it looks like to find like someone good. And like we provide something different. And I think having the juxtaposition of both of them, I think will be very important. And our stuff tends to fall on the like, we're going like traveling and world premieres and different things like that. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I also think, I know we're kind of branching off. And
I know if the question at hand.
Hey, whatever.
Quality of life.
But to your point, it is really cool because Brooklyn sees not only what we value creatively, indoors, outdoors, logically, whatever, that kind of stuff, but like she sees, I don't know what the other parents are like her other parents are like at their house, but she sees that relationship and she sees our relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm very confident and happy with how she sees our relationship, the good parts and the parts with tensions. But she also sees, for instance, and I hope this doesn't hurt anyone's feelings, not that I think any of the parents listen to this, but like, I forget the context of it, but we were in Target together recently and she asked me to pick her up and carry her and she was kind of nuzzled into my shoulder and she said, "I'm glad you and my mom broke up." And I was like, oh, like me too. You know, my standard answer is like, it was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me or that I ever had to do.
Yeah.
And I told her, you know, your mom's not a bad person. And she wasn't implying that. But this is an important lesson that I want to give her is your mom's not a bad person. We were just a bad fit. And like, that's important. But for her to be able to go, like we've asked her, like, can you imagine me and your mom together? She's like, no.
Yeah.
I think that's so great because she can see like her mom and I were married and she is a product of that relationship. And at the same time, she would be like, I wouldn't put you guys together or want you guys to be together. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So she can at least see that even when you think you're right, or even when you think it's a good relationship, or even when you think something in life is a good thing, like things change and it's good perspective for her to be like, you can still be happy, or this relationship with you and mommy, like that makes sense and that's good. Yeah. Obviously, some of it comes from like, that's pretty much the only thing she's ever known.
Of course, yeah.
But at the same time, kids know when a relationship is healthy or good.
Yeah.
Kids know how often people are screaming at each other.
Yeah. And I think she gets different things from me and Whitney. And I think she gets different things from you and John. Like not as like dads and moms, but like I give her stuff that like Whitney doesn't give her.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney gives her stuff that I can't give her. It's like this and
Totally.
the same with you and John. And I think she sees that too. And she's like, yeah, like I'm grateful that I have 4 parents and that like I get different things. And I couldn't see people together because it doesn't make sense. Because then I wouldn't have mommy and I wouldn't have pops and I wouldn't,
Yeah, for sure.
Punching microphones. But I'm grateful for that. And like I am, yeah. And I think she's like the coolest kid. And I don't know that she would be that way if she didn't have all 4 of us. I mean, she would still be cool. Don't like hear me when I say I love our kid. I think she's amazing. But like I was watching her do things this week where I was like, yeah, that's me. It shouldn't be me, but like it's me because some of it is nature, but a lot of it's nurture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like what she's doing that because I do that. And like, yeah, I see a lot of myself in you. And that's great. And that's cool. She dipped her freaking grilled cheese in ketchup. And I was like, I do that. I learned that from my parents, my dad. I was having a moment. But
anyway. And so, I mean, maybe to wrap it up and for anyone who's listening who might who might be in a co-parenting situation or find yourself in a co-parenting situation or think you might be heading that way, it's probably worth mentioning that there are some really beneficial parts from it.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, but also
it can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sure I've shared this on the podcast. I remember talking to my buddy Randy. We were in Orlando leaving a gig, and I was telling him, like, I just feel guilty, with Brooklyn having to go between houses and what that's going to be like. And he was like, dude, she's going to be so much more flexible than other kids, pliable, adaptable, all these things that are important in life. And we just listed off a whole list of like, she gets this from this side and this from this side. Like it's kind of like, it takes a village to raise a kid.
And we have a little village.
We really do have a little village.
Yeah. She gets fish over there and no fish at our house.
Truly, metaphorically and literally. Yeah. But also like, obviously it's the metaphor of it takes a village, but like, if you've got good people in your village, I know it's like we're fortunate that all 4 of these parents seem to be pretty decent, good people. And that's not everybody's situation. I also saw a video recently that was like this husband and wife about to have a baby. And the wife was like, the person that you choose becomes the person that they're stuck with. So like pick a good
one. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but all that to say that if you're ever in the situation where there's a split or co-parenting and that kind of stuff, man, do everything you can to make that relationship good because your kid's going to see it and they could really benefit from it if you guys choose to do it well. I know there's always weird feelings, hard feelings, hurt feelings, but like, at least for me, it always comes down to the kid and like trying to make their life the best that it can be.
Yeah.
And you do have a cool opportunity in this situation that's unique versus others that you have a lot of cool people that could be pouring into your kid. I understand that some of that's outside of your control, like who your former partner picks as a partner.
Yeah.
But there are certain things. And even if you're like, I don't like the person that's over there, I'm not talking about like I feel like my kid's in danger. Handle that. I'm talking about that's not my preference. I don't love that person. I don't like certain things. Like just know that I'm confident that we learn even more from the hard parts and the failures in our life than we do about the easy and victorious parts.
Yeah.
Your kids will pick up on that too.
Yeah.
Be like, I don't want to treat someone like that, or I don't want to be treated like my spouse or partner shouldn't be like that. So there are benefits to it. So just want to throw that out there since, our podcast is about life, love, and labor. The co-parenting is a big part of our life.
Oh, huge part. We don't talk about it enough on the podcast, I don't feel like.
Yeah, well, we usually just save kind of the more serious stuff for working through it.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up here. We got we got some big things coming up for you. You are leaving on Sunday.
Yeah, I have an event double booked on Saturday.
So you've got an event and I've got an event as an employee. I'm one of her employees.
That's right. I have 2 other people joining us for those as well. So that, and then I leave on Sunday for Qualtrics, a big event that we do for a company out there. They're the ones who power like all of the surveys and stuff that you see. It'll say powered by Qualtrics at the bottom.
I believe by the time this episode airs, you'll already be in Salt Lake doing that.
Perfect. But we got a big last year. You had a bunch of speakers and stuff, and so the speakers last year were like Martha Stewart, Chip and Joanna Gaines, Shaun White. There's a couple others that I can't remember right now, but
and the headliner.
And the headliner was the Killers, which was super fun. So the headliner this year. I don't even know if it's on the website, so I'm not going to say anything. Super excited about it. They told me, and I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" It was supposed to be Katy Perry, but then she couldn't. But we've seen her.
We have seen her.
But I'm like super stoked about it because I don't think I would ever go to one of these concerts. But like the childhood Kelly is like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be at one of these concerts." It's like a really fun idea, and there's a really cool keynote speaker that I'm super stoked about. I don't really know a lot of the other ones, but the one that I do know of, everyone knows of. And
cool.
I'm real excited to one-up you just a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
it's going to be pretty cool.
I'll tell you all about that when I get back.
No jealousy here.
But there's that. But and then we have a chili cook-off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
In Conejo Valley, if you're interested in chili. We talked about the ICS a couple weeks ago. This is it, guys. It's happening. Conejo Valley, come on out.
That's right.
May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Bring
They're
your
going to have a
prunes and
beer
dates or
garden.
whatever.
They'll have chili that you can try.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great, but it's what we do every year. And I'm excited about it, I guess. I don't know. I'm happy to be something that seems normal in the midst of craziness. I know it's not normal, but it is normal for us. So
that's what's coming up for you. For me, it's fixing houses and cars and trying not to go insane in the process.
And you have an event in between that too.
I do. I'm not sure when this one comes out versus I think this might come out while I'm in Colorado doing a gig, but we'll talk all about that stuff next time you hear from us. But until then, hope you have a wonderful time. Hope your week is amazing and full of life and love and not so much labor. But I hope you're happy with where you're at. And if you're not, I hope you make a change. But until then, till next time, same bat channel. I hope you spend most of your time
hardly working. Bye.
Bye. I went really high but soft today. We'll see you next week on the podcast.
Bye. Bye. Bye.